What's up, y'all? Did you know you were cutting master padlock keys wrong? Did I know that I've been cutting master padlock keys wrong? No, but apparently in 1993, Master told us that we were cutting padlock keys wrong. I was perusing some of our older magazines, this time in the 93 era, and as I was flipping through, looking for something in particular that I can't even remember now, we ran across the tips and new products for you. Now, this is not tips and tricks sent in from the reader, which they have in some of the magazines. This is actually one of the technical editors at the time giving out information that manufacturers have updated us with. So, you know, they get information in from manufacturers with new information on it, updated as new things come out. And as I was flipping through these, anybody need some reed-coated padlock books? As I was flipping through, we have the general warnings about, you know, the Chrysler warning, then the blanks, how they're a little bit different, blah, blah, blah. Then I noticed this, Master update. Master is recommending that a slightly wider cutter be used when originating padlock keys in order to provide a better operating key. When using the 1200 cm, it is recommended that the 14 MC cutter instead of the 1011 cutter be used. The difference is the flat is 0.008 inch wider. The cuts on the factory original keys are radius. And I was like, what? What? In 1993, supposedly Master told us that we had been cutting padlock keys wrong, because if you run over here to your 1200 and pull out the Master padlock large pin card, we see cutter 1011. Now, as good locksmiths, we try to follow rules when it comes to things on cards. We assume that when the card tells us to use one wheel, we use that wheel. And that's what we do. Now, I will note that you can use a 14 MC wheel instead of a 1011, or vice versa, because they all cut to the same depth. But what happens is, because the 14 MC wheel, which is made for like quick set, you know, larger style locks, not small, narrow pin tumbler style locks like Masters use, the problem is it still cuts to the same depth, but with that narrower blade, if you have a deep cut on the shoulder, it won't cut away the shoulder. Think Quickset Titan. That's why you have to use a 1011 for the first cut on a Titan, because otherwise the wider CW14MC blade will cut away the shoulder. Also, another thing to consider is the max factor, the maximum adjacent cut, and that plays a large role into how you can use a 1011 versus a 14 MC wheel, because of course the 14 MC wheel, if you have a max of 5 and you cut a 7 and a 2 on a 1011 with that narrower, because on a 14 MC regular lock, the spacing is it's a little bit wider. On the small pin locks, it's narrower. So when you use a 14 MC wheel and say cut a 7 and a 2 next to each other, and then go to like a 6, what happens is it obliterates the max that's allowed for that log. Now, I'm pretty sure max is 5. So again, if you used a 7 and a 2, and then you came along and cut another 7, or even a 6, the wider wheel takes out the max. But in locks like this code that we're going to go by, 2383, we can see there's probably not really a max issue. So what I'm going to do is we're going to cut a key on both the 1011 and 14 MC wheel for this brand new Master number 1 with keys already made, you know. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take, I've got a bunch of 17 keyway plugs, and actually a bunch of old 17, because that's just kind of an oddball. So instead of burning my M1 key blanks, I'm going to burn a few 17, which is actually a 5 pin. And in that, we're going to go ahead and pin it up with master padlock pins. I've already got the cylinder apart here. And we're going to cut it to probably something like 7, because I want to see if the 14MC kills that shoulder. And then we'll try to do a maximum max to see what happens versus the 1011 and the 14MC. I find it kind of weird. Back then, manufacturers were a little bit closer to locksmiths. Nowadays, these big guys don't really care about us. But back then, in the 90s, it was a little bit different scenario. You know, there were more lock shops that they could go visit, and way less scammers and people selling retail at actual retail prices instead of being lowballed by Amazon and places like that. So back then, they were working closer with locksmiths. But I find it interesting because I've always used the 1011. The one thing I've noticed, though, we do sell UP padlocks just for convenience. Those are the ones that you whack with a key to set. And when I go and I create a key on the 1011 on the card 35 and whack that padlock, they act funny. They don't do quite right. And I'm not going to burn a padlock because their padlocks are getting expensive, even those cheap, crappy padlocks. But I'm wondering if I switched in a case where I didn't have an extreme max problem. I'm wondering if, I should just 14MC it from now on for those, except in the cases of extreme max, which of course if I was whacking a new padlock, I wouldn't do an extreme max. But anyway, here we go. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to cut 2 M1s, one on 1011, 14MC. We're going to pin up the 17 keyway to like 7 to 6 to 1 or something like that, and just see what happens with the 2 of them. So let's get started. Okay, we are going to decode the key. A couple of different people sent me these, so let's find the master lock is up here. And let's see, we got, looks like 4, wait a minute, it might be 5. Four, 5, 4, 5, 3, 2, 4, 5, 3, 2. That look. Let's try this other one. I heard there were some issues with these. 5, 5. Am I doing this wrong? Yep, 5. Okay. All right. 3, 3, 2, 1. 3, 3, 2, 1 on a real gauge. If we pull that code, which was 2383, we will see what it is. I'll do that in just a second. And then on the 17K, we're going to go, let's go ahead and go 7, 2. We'll be nice and say 6, and then maybe 1, and then how about 4? And we're going to do both of those on 1011 and 14MC. I've got the 1011 ready to go, master, which again tells us 1011. So being a good locksmith, that's what we're going to start off with. So let me go grab all this and stamp the key so we'll know which is which. Okay, we've got our 11s and our 14s. We're actually going to start with 11 so that I can not have to switch the wheel out twice. And what do we got? 11, 3, 3, 2, 1. Oh, I forgot to double check that code. All right, double check the code. It was definitely 3, 3, 2, 1, not 5, 4, 5, 1, 6, whatever else that came up with. So let's go ahead and get started. 3, 3, 2, 1 on the 1011. And on this one, our fictitious 72614. Okay. Looking like it's all right. Now we'll go ahead and switch the wheel. If you're not familiar with the difference between the two, you can see how much wider it is. Oh. I'm curious as to whether when you order a 35 car nowadays, or if they come with the with that 14 MC instead of 1011. They may have provided a correction in the future, I don't know, but 3321. No real worry there about max for sure. Okay. 72614. Okay, as expected, let's see what happened. The shoulder did get nicked. You can see a little shiny. It's still mostly straight though. And look how narrow. We gotta go brush these off. That does have a flat, but that is pretty pointy. Not much of a flat there at all. All right, let's go pin up a cylinder to that. Okay, we've got the 17 keyway cylinder pinned up in both of our keys. Let's see how they do. That looks like the 11. You can definitely tell by the steeper angle. It's pretty tough going in. I don't know, it may just need lube, but it works. Okay, and then the 14, let's see if there's any catching from that. Definitely goes in easier than the other one. That's because there's less pronounced angles on the key, but we seem to have no issues. It's definitely harder to get in because of those steep angles. And then let's just double check that shoulder. I don't know, I think that's the biggest worry. I guess if I were to be doing this with the 14 MC, if I had a 7 or if I saw a clear max violation or clear close to max, I would probably not use the 14. But it definitely goes in easier. That would probably extend maybe the life of the springs in the chamber instead of them being so, I don't know, grabby. Yeah, I don't know, but they both work. We have our 2383 with the original keys. We'll take a close look at the difference, but here we go with, okay, 11 standard. Looks great. Of course, these are not near any issues with max. Looks great. And then the 14 MC, a little bit wider, no real issues. And it works. Actually, it works about the same, but again, it goes in a lot smoother. So, I don't know. And taking a super close look at the original versus the 1011. The original actually has pointier points, looks like. And then the original versus the 14, definitely less pointy points. It's kind of a combination between the two. But that 1011 for sure is about the closest. I don't know. It's weird. I guess use whichever freaking cutter you want. Unless there's a 7 and a 2 next to each other. On other locks, it's just not a great idea to do. It can be done. If you're using a 1011 to cut a quickset key, you have to widen it because you're going to have those little hooks at certain areas. But anyway, in case you didn't know, in 1993, Master decided to tell us in a very short little paragraph that it's okay to use, in fact, it's better to use the 14 MC wheel. And now you know. And thanks for watching. Make sure and hit that thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed for other little ridiculous unknown facts about this. Also, post in the comment section if you saw that in 1993 and have been using the 14 MC wheel since then, or continue to follow the directions on the card and use the 1011. Let us know in the comments. We'll catch y'all next video.